Lazy JP of BBGuns. I'm a singer and vocalist, rapper. I guess I rap a bit too.
Yep.
In BBGuns, I'm one half of it, and we just put out a record, and I throw some shows and stuff, and yeah, that's me. What's up?
Right on. How did you get started doing what you're doing?
I kind of always been involved in music. My uncle was like in bands and stuff, like hair metal bands, and my other uncle was really into like R&B and stuff, and wanted to be on like American Idol and stuff.
Nice.
I just think that there was a lot of music, but my dad really wasn't into music at all. But they had like good CDs and stuff. But I don't know. I was always just into entertaining and singing and dancing around the living room when I was a kid. I did like choir in church, and then I did choir in school, like in chorus in school, for a long time. And then but my dad like really wasn't into me doing bands, so that was like kind of my only way to do it. They didn't want me to take lessons for stuff, because it was expensive. Like getting an instrument, we didn't have a lot of money growing up, so we didn't get an instrument. I actually one time found a flute at my grandma's house, and I tried to play the flute in like 4th grade for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But then I quit because I felt like an idiot. I felt like a weirdo, so I stopped. But I got into singing a lot, so that was how that kept going after that.
Gotcha. You don't need anything; it's just you.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what's always
on it.
that's always appealed to me about singing and rapping. Being a vocalist is you're all you need instrument wise. I think sometimes it probably held me back. I wish I knew how to now I'm like trying to learn how to play piano on my own. And I was like, man, it would just really be nice to know when I was a kid, because then I can do whatever I can do whatever I wanted now, But yeah. And then after that I did musicals in high school, and but then I would sneak off and do band. I played football too, but then I would skip the weightlifting practice to go be in a band, and then I got in trouble pretty big about that one. But then after high school, I never rapped until after high school. I was always just singing.
Okay.
And then unless I got it,
wait, what type of singing? Like,
just
what kind of bands?
I don't know. I liked alternative and indie stuff, like.
Okay.
But then I always had like a little bit of a R&B side to me too. Like I liked a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
And I mean that goes into like what we do now is like I like a lot of different stuff. Like I like rock stuff a lot, like indie rock a lot. I like hip hop. I like R&B. I like pop. If it's good, I like it. And I think that I always try to take that approach to what I was doing. I remember the first band that we were in, I was with some people that were like really into specific. Everyone, like when you're first band, like everyone's like, I like this and this is what I like, and like so you had like one person who wanted to sound like Red Hot Chili Peppers, and one person wanted to sound like Queens of the Stone Age, and I was like super into Linkin Park and like around that time, and no one was ever gonna want to do that. So like it was just because I liked rap, so I wanted to put rap into everything because of like that. I was like, oh, well, rap can go on anything. It doesn't matter what the sound of the band is.
Right.
Which also is kind of still my approach to this day. Is like rap can go on anything. But that's kind of like the journey it took. And then once I got like freshman year of college, I got really, really into hip hop. Okay. And then I felt like I could do this, and I couldn't at first. It was pretty bad, bad for a while. But but then it takes time. It took practice, and then I feel like we're at a good place. I'm really excited to put out this project, and I feel like it's finally like a realized thing. And that was like a good 7 years ago. We've really started getting into the scene. Yeah. And really coming out into Pittsburgh and stuff, like just wasn't more than just like making songs in our bedrooms and not putting them out, or recording songs on crappy laptops, mics and stuff like that. It feels like it's like a come a long way. I feel like I'm getting older now, like for doing this, but at the same time, I feel like that we finally got to a point, got to where we always wanted to be. Right. So it's good.
What do you think was the pivotal moment when you decided that you are a professional now? Like you're like something like that. Now I'm proud of the work that's coming out, and I'm.
I think that I've made some good songs over the years, but I
Yep.
feel like I never really made a really good project.
Mhm.
And then once me and Bars Blackman made Lazy Blackman, which was what we used to be called.
Okay.
We put out a project. We put out some songs together that were really, really good.
Right.
And our stage, like our live presence, like went through the roof. I used to be like a tree man. Like I used to say that. I used to just plant my feet on the ground and not move and just rap in one place. Because I was like, we were trying to be technical, lyrical rapping, but so it's like, I'm worried about my breath control. I'm worried about whatever.
Right.
And then like there got to a point where you just like did it so much, you just let go. You just like got in the moment. You just felt it. And I think that's what we started to do. Is like maybe stop caring as much about what we look like and just like seeing other people in the city. I think there were some people that were like wilder performers, and I think we kind of like really liked them, or more rock performers, were
Right.
frontmen that were like a little crazy. We wanted to incorporate that, and I got really into bands that maybe like that were little crazy stage presence, and it made me rethink things, and I don't know, stepped into a new world then. And then we started getting gigs all the time. We used to only gig like once, every couple months or once every 3 months, and then now we gig, weekly, if not multiple times a week. And
You think it has a lot more to do with the entertainment rather than the technical?
I think that we just got better all around. Like
Yeah.
we got good enough. Our records are good enough, or our performance is good enough. I think that we worked at it to get to the point. And it's also like in the beginning, you kind of at the mercy of what beats you can get or whatever. And
Right.
and being in the game longer, you have more control over your sound and
Definitely.
just experimenting. It helped us figure out a place where we should go, and if our own niche that like other people weren't really doing. Like with the last, like I was mentioning in that project we put out as Lazy Blackman, it was called the Rock Lobster LP, and it was like a mixtape where we rapped all over rock songs, like indie rock songs, but we like Lil Wayne them. So it was different, and nobody really knew what to do, to think of it. But it was like it was upbeat, it was energetic, but it was also had like some edge to it, and a little bit crazy. And I think that it took off, and we like after that it did well, but it wasn't like our original records either.
Right.
So with what we just put out, like what we're trying to put out now, we try to how to capture that energy and that essence, and like what do I like about mixing those paints, and how can we get that with this album that we're with original production.
Right.
And that's kind of been the hard. It's been hard, and I think that we found something, and I think that we took turns that I didn't expect. But I feel I'm excited with what came out. I'm really happy with it.
Cool. Tell me about some of those turns you didn't expect. I love that.
Well, yeah, because originally with the Rock Lobster thing, I wanted to do like rock, like indie rock, punk stuff. Like I wanted to do like punk rap. Like I wanted it to be like fuzzy and dirty, and I wanted it to be aggressive and but also like with some singing, like melodic stuff as well.
Right.
And instead we ended up like my roommate is C. Scott, who is a producer in the Pittsburgh area, a DJ and producer. He just did Hot Mass like a month ago.
Nice.
And he, I had selection of his beats, so we just started picking them. And he does hip hop boom bap stuff, but he also does like house stuff as well. And I got some records that were like more on the house side, more on the dancey side, like more sample based, but house stuff. And I was like, I can make a good song out of that. Like I can make a record out of that.
Yeah.
And the first single we put out for this project, Dreamcast, is like a disco pop record, but it has rap, like big rap verses, lyrical rap verses on it. And it's a lot of fun. And I don't think I would have anticipated how pop I would have went. We go with it. It's not like mainstream, not today pop, but like it's catchy. Like it's very like pop R&B, like the singing I have on the hook. And I didn't expect that I would want to do that.
Right.
But it just comes down to like, I know I can make a good song out of this. Like I know I could do something cool with this.
Right.
And so we just followed that. And so we did end up doing a few more house tracks on the record. And we did, and there's some boom bap stuff, but then there's some more modern, contemporary sounding stuff. I wanted to try to like represent a lot of our a lot of the things that we like. It's definitely more on the hip hop side, like more on the rap hip hop side.
Yeah.
We did get some live instruments we started recording, like being more hands-on with producers. You can, take out a track and like, oh, I want some guitar here, so I'll get my other buddy to come over. Like, 'cause living in Bloomfield, there's this, people in bands all around you. So I'll just get, someone from 2 doors down to come over and lay down some stuff, and then I can send it to If where we record at, and he mixes and masters everything, and then it's good. And it's just cool having like that kind of control over things, and I never had that before. That's also what makes me feel like I'm more of a not just a singer or not just a rapper or whatever. Like I feel like I'm more of a songwriter now, and now that I'm like have a more of a stake on the other side of things as well.
So, you think the Pittsburgh music scene, recording scene, pretty inclusive?
What do you mean by inclusive? Like
Easy to work with?
Yeah, it's just, all the barrier is always money. It's not anywhere will take you if you pay for it, So we go What If Studio in Springdale, which is a buddy of ours, Ian Patrick Hill. He's run that since we started doing it. He actually was like pretty amateur when we started. We first recorded there, and then over time he's put more and more money into it, and now he gets a lot of bigger people and coming through. And I know DJ Afterthought does a lot of stuff there sometimes, and I don't know, it was cool. We kind of like grew together. We grew together like in terms of production behind the scenes, and as we grew as artists, and it just kind of like felt good. It's comfortable to still record there. I've done stuff at ID Labs, and I've done stuff at a couple other places, and they're great places. You get great work. But there's something like to be said about being comfortable when you make music.
Absolutely.
I think that if you're uncomfortable or I know I'm an anxious person, and I can get awkward. So if I'm around a bunch of people I don't know and I have to like sing and rap in front of them, and it's one thing when I have to sing and rap in front of a room because they become like faceless, but when I have to like sing in front of a couple people and it's just two of us or whatever, like it feels strange and intimate.
And they're monitored, like they're picking it apart, and they're
and they hear people all day. Like I know that there's just comparisons can happen and whatever. Like there's just a different awkwardness to it. And
do you think that helps you grow?
I think so. I probably should try to do it more. I think with the next project we want to have more live instrumentation, so I think we're going to try to do more stuff at like Mr. Smalls, because we have some a relationship with somebody that can help us out there.
Awesome.
And that's basically affordability is everything. It's probably also why I ended up rapping is that I feel like it's cheaper than a lot of the other genres. And I think it's like I didn't need to buy a bunch of stuff. I could just download steel beats on the internet and just start making songs. And I think that's why a lot of people gravitate to it first. Like from our generation and younger, because is a lower barrier to entry. And sometimes you can get saturation because of that, but then other times a lot of people like learn a lot about music like through that, and I know how I have. I wish I knew more when I was younger, but doing what I do is definitely like I feel more well-rounded musician because of it.
So tell me a little bit more about Lazy Blackman and what happened. Like, why did you decide to change the name?
Yeah, we're BBGuns now, and we changed the name because it was. I feel like some people didn't like it. Most people were cool with it because they got it, but it was like you'd have to like it would.
I didn't get it at first.
Most people don't get it at first.
Once
you
I
see
understood,
it, you have to see it to understand it, or or know us, or like
Right.
see a video, or like understand like he's Lazy JP, he's Boris Blackman, and it just became too much work, and I felt like that the name was like getting a reputation and it had nothing to do with the music a little bit.
Gotcha.
And I don't think it wasn't honestly that bad or anything. Like
Did anyone ever not book you because of it?
I think that there has been instances.
Okay.
I think in certain circles that we weren't getting booked really because of it.
Right.
Or it took people were usually slow to book us. But unless they saw us somewhere else, happened to see us at another show, and they're like, "Oh, okay,
Once you get it,
I get it."
right?
But it just wasn't worth the hassle. And like I said, no one else ever like bitched at us, or excuse me, complained to us about it or whatever. But it just got annoying, and it was hard when I was by myself. Honestly, that was the worst of it. When Bars was there, he could explain it himself, and it was fine.
Yeah.
But when I'm by myself and I have to explain it, and like my other partner's not there, and I have to it just gets too much into goofy semantics, and it just wasn't worth it. Gotcha. So I'd rather we picked a name that like we could define ourselves. Yep. Something like a little more like minimal, and like I feel like we've been taking a minimal approach to things with like the graphics. Like I started doing our own graphics the past handful of years. I started throwing our own shows the past 4 years. I started doing everything. I direct and write our music videos. Like I started doing everything ourselves, and I think that also was a big reason why we had to jump in quality. Is because it's like I'm getting what I want out of things. It's like my vision is being realized or whatever. It sounds so pretentious, but to a degree that you need that. Like when there's a bunch of cooks in the kitchen,
it goes, right?
Yeah. And sometimes when you have too many cooks in the kitchen, it changes. It's not what you wanted. It's a little bit of what everyone was doing.
Right.
And I think it's good. I don't know. I've have more control of what we've been making. And really like finding our own. That's how we found ourselves. Like you can't find your own voice if you're like imitating other people or if you're following other people. Like you have to really not be afraid to like go your own way. And that's really what we try to do musically. I don't feel like anyone sounds like us around here or anything, or really does what we do. Yeah. And I think that's important to me. And it's not like that what we do is so incredibly weird that like no one would get it. It's just It's just not what other people are doing, and I mean, and I don't know. I like that. It makes me excited. Because I like mixing things like with the artists that I'm into. Yeah. I like mixing it all up. I like people that do things differently, and that's important to me. So that's what I want to do.
Awesome. How'd you come up with the name BBGuns?
Honestly, it took a long time to get a name. We had a big list, and I just thought of I wanted to think of something cool and like one word. One word was the rule. Okay. Because I was really into one word band names like Blur, Oasis, and Pixies, and whatever. And so that's what we said. And then I thought a word that sounded cool, but like didn't need to like literally be what represented us, like a BB gun, like something that is like aggressive, but also is like a toy at the same time. And also a lot of people were like using the phrase BB as baby, and I think that's kind of past. But at the time, it seemed like it was I don't know. It seemed to have kind of like layers to it. Okay. And I don't know. I like the way it sounded. I like the way it looks on a shirt. Honestly, the way it looks on a flyer or a shirt is probably one of the most important things to me at this point. Like that just looks cool. Like you put that in Helvetica, that looks cool. Nice. So that's what we went with.
All right. What have you like struggled with, or any sort of thing where you've had to have patience or come out of big learning experience? What's something that you've like kind of fought with and won?
I think this project in particular, when we finished Raw Lobster, we call it Raw Law for short. I wanted to do band stuff, so like I started to jam with a band, and we started to like write songs with them, and then I had like songs by myself. And my partner Bars Blackman, he just had a child. Okay. So like he was dealing with that stuff, and he didn't have as much time to put into it. He was taking like kind of a break from things. So I was like, made all these songs, but then the band kind of like fell apart. We kept like losing our drummer, and like we couldn't just keep reteaching people to play, and it kind of just fell apart. But we still had these cool songs, and then I wrote some songs on my own, and then all of a sudden it was like I moved in with Charlie up the street. And C. Scott, and then it was just like, okay, let's do this. Like this is for real. And people started and honestly, it was a big thing about people believing in our live performance. Like we were getting kind of discouraged. We're not spring chickens anymore.
Right.
You're getting in your later 20s, and you wonder if it's time to, start growing up and stuff. And you did your thing,
Right.
and not even. I don't think I'll ever stop making music, but like thinking about like not trying so hard, trying
Right.
not to. It costs a lot of money. It costs money. It takes a lot of time to do this.
Right.
Even when you start getting paid, it's still you're never breaking even. And that I think that was encouraging to keep going.
Right.
That was like if people like this, let's follow this. You have something here, nurture it and make something else, and then evaluate once that's done.
Gotcha.
So that we kept going. So yeah, then like I said, I had all these songs and they weren't really for anything, and then I met Charlie, and we had a bunch of beats, and I met with a couple other producers, and I realized, and I started like applying these songs to the beats, or we'd tweak the beats to fit my songs, and then all we needed was bars, so we're like, come on through, and he started writing raps, and it just like slowly came together. We recorded half of it in my room as like a pre-demo, like a room demo, and then and just to see if we liked the songs, and we were like iffy on them, and then we redid them at Ifs at a better studio, and we're like, these are really, really good. So we just followed through and finished the album. There's always bumps, and it's hard to keep motivated. I think I'm kind of like the person that keeps people going, like come on, like I'm checking what everyone's up to, like the keeping the trains running on time is what I like to say. But it's hard, it's hard, like you got a life, and this isn't, you don't have the full time to devote to this,
right?
Like I have a 40-hour, I have a full-time job, Bars has a full-time job and a child, so like I'm sure like that's a lot of work, and to try to be a musician on top of that, it's like a second job. And get what you want out of it, it's you have to make some sacrifices, and and I'm thankful that he's still able to do it, considering everything, because there are some tough times, you want to keep things going, but you don't have all the time to devote to it, but we got there, and I'm so excited that we finished it, and and it's what I wanted. Like I think with projects earlier in our career, either solo or together, that it was a lot of like, oh, it's this is cool, this is good enough, and it was like I wasn't as much of a perfectionist, and then putting things out and like realizing the flaws, like I'm my biggest critic, and now it's like I'm trying to be a critic as I'm making it instead of after it's out. Because I think also we lacked preparation with previous projects. This is the first time we really had all our ducks in a row, like planned everything out. Like I'm on the podcast, and I'm, we're doing a bunch more, and trying to really get the promotion thing in order. This is the last few projects we did, we were recording the week we put them out. So there was obviously some blemishes, and it was raw. And this is still raw aesthetically at points, but it makes me calmer, and more like I believe in it a lot more, and I want this to really be something to take us to another step, at least in terms of what we're creating, or whatever, or seeming professional, or what have you. So yeah, I feel like so that feels good to just take that step to really do it right, even if I don't have any regrets if I make what I want to make, and I put up what I do everything right. I feel like that I didn't slack off or anything, because there's a lot more that goes into it than making the music. Sending the emails, and getting your press list together, and networking, and going to other people's shows to support them, and even non-musicians, you need people on your side. It is
and you got to stay consistent too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was a weakness for us for a while, because we would put out a project and then not put out a full project for maybe over a year after that. Rock Lobster, between that and this, is like a year and a half, and we maybe put out a few songs in between, but it wasn't to I would much rather keep things going on it, but it's hard to keep it all happening. There's a lot. I think sometimes you get sucked in too much to the internet side of things, and you realize I need to still work on stuff. I need to still like performing. I think we got wrapped up in performing. We love performing. So that
Yeah.
we just like we're booking shows all the time, and then so if you're performing all the time and you're working all the time, you don't have
Right.
time to make new material.
Right.
So we had to take
You have
breaks.
little chunks of each thing.
Yeah,
It's a lot more healthy.
yeah. It's hard to be balanced. Balance is key of life.
Mm.
Balance is the key of life.
Mm.
That is. There's one thing that I've learned is if you can just juggle all your plates at the same time,
Yep.
you are much better for it. I like to eat one food at a time on the plate. I need to just eat a little bit of each, and so I can stay well rounded.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
definitely something that I've learned over my years is try to be balanced.
Right.
Too much of anything is a bad thing, whether
Right.
it's fun or it's work.
Absolutely. No, I'll do the same thing. I have a printing business, and so sometimes I'll have a week where all I do is production. I have so much work coming in, production, and then a week or two later, I realized I didn't get back to quotes. And it's like, of course I'm not gonna have a week. I'm gonna have a week that I have no work because I didn't. You got to stay consistent. Do some production, do some quotes. You got to do invoices. Like there'll be a couple days where I'm like, oh man, where's the money at? Oh shoot, I got 24 invoices I got to write up. Like you got to keep, and that's something I definitely struggled with more maybe a year ago when we were booming, and I didn't have control over it as much, and it was definitely a growth thing. And now it's just take a couple hours, do that, take a couple hours, do this. But you're not even doing it full time, so you have to spend a night or day doing one thing and then the other, and staying consistent. That's huge.
Yeah.
For anyone starting out, like that's major.
It's hard. It's hard. We definitely do our best. And I think we've been better at it over this last couple years than we were previously. And I think that's what kind of like was the reason why we didn't get. I don't think we've gotten to a place where a professional place sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Was I think because it took us a while to be able to do all those things,
Right.
to be on the internet and making songs and doing shows, but just enough of each instead of like going so gung-ho on one thing,
Mm-hmm.
like and milking it dry. That's definitely a problem that I have in general.
Right.
In general of things. I like to obsess over one thing until I exhaust it completely, and then I move on to the next.
Gotcha.
I'm a binger.
Balance is the key.
Yeah, I know.
You said you were the one that kind of motivates everyone. What motivates you, and how do you get everyone else to stay motivated? What are some of your key points?
I mean, not that I am the the motivator, but yeah, I mean, I guess I did. I guess I am. I don't know. I guess it's just you want to see things through. If I start something, I want to finish something.
Right.
And I think there's been periods of my life where maybe there was a lot of grandiose plans that we didn't follow through with, or we only did halfway.
Right.
Or I continue, being on podcasts. I've started 2 podcasts that one of them got 15 episodes and then it fell off, and the other one got 8 episodes and fell off. It was just hard either to keep it up weekly, recording weekly or whatever.
Right.
And stuff like that. So I didn't want to fail, especially this.
Mm.
Music is the one thing. The other things I do for fun, I'll stream, Twitch stream and play video games, or I'll try to do a podcast or graphic design, and that's all hobby stuff for me.
Right.
But the music is the thing, and I want it to be taken seriously and done well, and I think that's important to me. And I want to, and I feel like that I want to make some kind of mark, at least at least making something that I think is really, really good. Before we stop, and I don't know, that's what drives me. And I'm not getting any younger, and I realize music is a young person's game.
Mm-hmm.
So the dreaded 30 looms, and I feel like I'm racing against the clock to make a classic. And I know that sometimes that makes me anxious. And I know that sometimes that can have a negative effect on nobody wants to feel like that we're running out of time.
Right.
But that's sometimes what it feels like, and I have to have my Charlie Scott, who works with me. He's a little bit younger than me, and he kind of needs to tell me, hey, chill out.
Right.
You know, just keep going.
Yeah,
just
I
keep
mean,
swimming. You can't worry about
right,
when
right.
it happens. You just got to keep on making and keep on creating.
Right.
And I mean, yeah, you want to put things out, and you don't want to let things lie, but it's a balance. You know,
Yeah.
worrying about getting it out, but also like not freaking out about not having any time to do anything.
Right. I mean, I think you see a lot less older people doing music and getting big because they don't have time. They don't have the motivation. They don't have the things that would normally back them to get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you see a lot more kids doing it because they're kids and they got
the time.
They're able to. Where I think you just have to do something that is awesome. And then, I mean, it doesn't matter what age you are.
Oh, no, you're right. You're right. I'm not saying that it can't be done, but in my mind, I think that's just what I have in my mind. Like, I know, like, there's plenty of.
I don't want to be some lame 40-year-old rapper.
Yeah.
No
It's like, or like people judge me as that.
Right.
You know, like, oh, he's still doing that. Like, like my 10-year reunion's coming up this year, and I'm thinking about that.
Dude,
and I'm like, you know what? I don't know how cool it would be to be to say that I'm still a rap man at this point. You know, I'm more of a singer now, but you know, that's definitely what I was doing for a while, and it's interesting to get to these points in life and think about that.
I think Atmosphere has a couple lyrics about that.
Yeah, Atmosphere is definitely got real on when they were older.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. Or like, there's bands that I really like that maybe they were kind of big when they were young, but then they really became a thing when they got older, like the Pixies or something like that.
Right.
And I that's why it's good to just keep going. There's people that like are unknowns, and then somehow the internet will discover them years down the line. And you might not get paid, but you know, you'll at least get your just due. Not that I think that we deserve any just due like that or anything, but it's just something to like keep going and strive for.
Right.
And I think that's you know, a motivator. It just makes something great. I want to make something great one day, and I hope I'm getting there. And I think I'm on the road there.
Nice.
At least for me personally.
Yeah. No, if you make something you're proud of, that's half of it right there.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's some like validation comes into play with like you want people to like get it or whatever, but at the end of the day, like, you made what you wanted to make.
Right.
And I used to this is maybe one of the first times that I've really, really felt like we made what we wanted to make.
Yep.
And that feels good. That feels good. It's almost more, makes me more anxious because I have to, I'm putting it out there. This is what I believe in, and like, I hope you get it, because there's plenty of people that do that, and like, it's what they wanted to make, but it's not received as well as it would be for them.
Right.
So I, think about that, but. Makes me nervous, but we're doing everything right, and you can't, at the end of the day, if you're doing everything right and you made what you want to make, then that's all you can do, and that's all that matters.
Right. How important is it to have people that aren't just yes men and just like tell you?
It's the most crucial thing in the world.
Right. But what do you do? How do you find people that you can trust that trust you and they could give you that back and forth?
Well, me and Bars we're real with each other.
Yeah.
If I don't like something or he doesn't like something, we say it immediately. And we have different tastes. So, like, sometimes that we have to find a compromise or something. But and working with Charlie is a different taste. Like, I've got one foot in rock world, indie rock world. Charlie is really into, like, funk and soul and disco and old 70s records. And Bars likes, like backpack rap and MF Doom and stuff. And I mean, I like that stuff too, but it's just like coming from different perspectives.
Right.
And sometimes it's not always going to line up. But honestly, like, we try to be objective sometimes as we can. Like, it was sloppy. You could have did that better. I know what you're capable. But sometimes it's like we've been working together so long that we know what each other is capable of.
Yep.
So like it would be like, I know you could have did better than that. Yeah. Like, and because you want to help them. Like and they want to help you. Right. Like I sang this bad. Like I had some bad notes and I had to go back and redo them because like if you want to make the best thing that you can make, you have to be honest with yourself. And I think that a lot of people they're content. They're content with what they do. They're content with what they've made, and they don't want to look at it critically.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you suck. Like, and like that's what we talk about. It doesn't mean that like we
No.
respect each other as artists and
Right.
musicians,
I
and
mean, other people are going to look at it critically, so you better.
yeah, exactly. You better look at that shit with a fine tooth comb because somebody
Right.
on the internet will, and you know they'll notice. Somebody's gonna listen,
Right.
and they're gonna notice, what you're noting. And like that's what I think about when I'm. And sometimes it can go a little. Feel like I've been going crazy leading up to it coming out. Like
Yeah.
feel like I've listened to this song so many times. I'm hearing something like I don't know if it's even there anymore. You know, like I don't know if that's really that. You know, things become bad because I've listened to them so many times.
Right.
Or I'll be away from the record for a while and I haven't listened to it in a while. I'm like, oh, it sucks. And then I'll put it on. I'm like, no, it's great. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
You're good. You're good. And I think that sometimes I worry about that too much to my own detriment.
Yeah.
But I think you need the balance with that and confidence and being critical. You want to have a good balance of both believing in yourself, but also like recognizing when you could be better, or trying to be better. Keep growth is important as people and artists, and I think being content sometimes. You want to have a positive environment and everything. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need to be real. You need to be honest with yourself or be honest with your partners.
Mm-hmm.
And because you want them to be honest with you. You expect them to tell you how they feel. Like, this morning we just listened to the masters. And my one producer said something like, "Oh, I don't know if I like this one as much." And I get it, like, because it's like a style thing or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
I want to know that because I want to know the frame of mind of someone with your tastes or
Right.
whatever. You want to, I don't know. It's good. Like, I like to call it the council. Like, if there's something like there's a debate on something,
Right.
like I put it up to everybody because they all have we all agree on things, but we all coming from different places. And if we all agree, then it's a good thing. Like,
Right.
it's obviously the way to go. But if it's
Right.
if it's scattered, then it might just be a style thing or a
Right.
preference thing or whatever. Yeah.
So there's a lot of other local talented musicians. Who do you work with? Who do you love working with? Who would you want to work with? Give me some insight on like the scene and like how it's going.
Production wise, there's a lot of good people out there right now. There's a lot of people. There's a good crop of new MCs in the last couple of years that we've met, through Young Mulatto, rest in peace, who passed away November last year. A lot of young people that we've met in the last year that are really, really, really good. I feel like maybe I thought that the rap scene was like, not as good as the Shadow Lounge days or whatever, but now I feel like that there's a lot of really good people and there's a lot of really good stuff popping up, and like there's the house show circuit or whatever, like the DIY house shows in Oakland, and there's a lot of good artists in general. I've seen so many good bands and good rappers and what have you out in Oakland these days, and it's great. But as far as people that I want to work with, or we should work with, there's people that we've been meaning to for a long time, like Momo Nadon. Swamp Walk is somebody that we've really are a big fan of and would love to work with. Production wise, probably there's like the classic people like your Bus Greats, or Thermos, or Nice Wreck, in terms of beats. But then I also I know I would like to work with like other bands and things like that. Like, I'm a really big fan of Donnie Donovan, Harkin and Dinosaur. Like, I would love to write a song with her. A lot of the Wild Kindness artists, I'm like huge. Pretty much that whole roster I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
Like, all those bands are really good. I love Slugs. I love Slugs a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of good talent. There's a lot of talent here, and I think that when you're only inside one scene or two scenes, you really don't see it all. Like, the city feels smaller, and then when you realize that like there's all kinds of there's like 3 rap scenes, there's like 4 or 5 rock scenes, and I think when you think that this is the rap scene or this is the rock scene or the dance scene, it really limits your scope. And I'm finding out about new circles of people making music all the time. Yeah. And it's exciting. I try to be open minded, what I am with any music that I'm into.
It's
I try
easy
to
to go to just the same venues and go see the same people, because your friends are going to be there, and but you got to branch out and like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think
definitely stay
that
open. I
the
like
scene
that.
is more the city's more connected than you realize. Like,
Right.
I know like a lot of the people that I'm friends with are people that operate inside different scenes and different circles.
Yeah.
That's important to me. Like Dhruva Krishna, who plays guitar on one of our songs,
Yeah.
he's involved with everybody's in every scene, and now we're gonna we're working on some stuff, and he was somebody I was in we made some songs with before the
Yeah.
project started. And like that's somebody that I'm friends with. That's we met because he's all into all kinds of things. C. Scott is in to multiple things. My other roommate Davis Galvin is a producer and DJ, and he's into all kinds of different things. I just like to gravitate myself with people that can see things as a more macro perspective musically,
Right.
instead of like through the eyes of that one particular genre that they're really really into.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I know I'm a jack of all trades for sure, and it probably shows in the music, but I'd rather be that than like hyper good. I mean, vocally, I guess that's my thing that I really strive on. But as far as like genres or the sound itself, I like a lot of different stuff. So I want to mix and match. I feel like that people say that there's nothing new everything has been made. There's nothing new that can be made.
Right.
I think that that's BS because I think all the sounds that there's a lot of sounds that probably can be used, but with electronic stuff there's probably all kinds of new stuff.
Right.
But like you can always mix and match parts from stuff that's already happened.
Right.
Like nobody's done hip hop with punk or what they have, but you know what I mean. Like there's
the difference.
examples like
Right.
that. There's always people that can, a particular artist sound with another particular artist, like a
Right.
bit from here and a bit from there. 'Cause
Right.
that's all I think we are at the end of the day is like an amalgamation of our influences. Like I'm a piece of this, I'm a bit of Gorillaz and a bit of, Sublime or Nas or whatever. Like,
Right.
and even if it's not stuff that's like super good, like critically, they're an influence on you and you take a bit of that. And I think it's important. It's important to be, to flex what you are.
Right.
And I think I think it's interesting that some people are able to like seemingly pull things out of thin air. Like I can't tell. I feel like I can tell what I'm picking from. If I went back and listened to my stuff, or I listen to Bars and what his style comes from. But sometimes people just feel like they just like aliens. They came out of thin air and they're just making something completely new. And
Right.
I respect that. I respect that a lot. That's a level of creativity that I find impressive. Yeah. I don't remember the rest. If I answered the question or what.
That was good. Tell me where we can find the new album, where we can find you, like social media, where we can find BBGuns, and that's it. Yeah.
All right. The album is going to be on everything. All the streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Google Play. Also on SoundCloud and Bandcamp, and I think it'll be on YouTube as well.
Cool.
So it'll be on literally everything.
What's the album called?
It's called Thirst.
Okay.
I should have said that.
So
at some point.
BBGuns Thirst.
Thirst is
All right.
it was released on Valentine's Day, and I think that's it. You can check us out on. We have a SoundCloud and a Bandcamp. Twitter at Lazy Japan, Instagram at Lazy Japan, Facebook BBGuns PGH, and Bandcamp is bbguns.bandcamp.com. But yeah, I think that's all. I think that's all the plugs I got. We also do a monthly thing called Rap Against Fascism. We took February off because of the album coming out, but we do like a thing and we donate the money to the Afro-American Music Institute. And it's just we just do a little showcase with a handful of rappers at Roboto. Third Thursday is what we do that. So yeah, check that out.
Sweet. Well, I'm Josh Snyder, and this has been Thoughtful Discussions. Make sure you feel free to comment, ask a question. Subscribe, share, and have a great night.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.